مم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين. اللهم صل وسلم على سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه في كل لحظة أبدا عدد نعم الله وأفضاله. اللهم آتنا من لدنك رحمة وعلمنا من لدنك علما. سبحانك لا علم لنا إلا ما علمتنا إنك أنت العليم الحكيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. نوينا التعلم وتعليم وتذكر وتذكير والنفع والانتفاع والإفادة والاستفادة والحث على التمسك بكتاب الله وسنة رسوله صلى الله عليه وآله وصحبه وسلم ودعاء إلى الهدى ودلالة على الخير ابتغاء وجه الله ومرضاته وقربه وثوابه سبحانه وتعالى مع لطف وعافية برحمتك يا أرحم الراحمين. اللهم إنا نسألك علم لدني ومشرب صافي الهاني وهاب يا غني. اللهم إنا نسألك علم لدني ومشرب صافي الهاني يا وهاب يا غني. اللهم إنا نسألك علم لدني ومشرب صافي الهاني يا وهاب يا غني. اللهم صل وسلم على سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه وسلم. اللهم ألهمنا علما نفقه به أوامرك ونواهيك وارزقنا فهما نعرف به كيف نناجيك يا أرحم الراحمين. اللهم إنا نسألك فهم النبيين وحفظ المرسلين وإلهام الملائكة المقربين في عافية يا أرحم الراحمين. اللهم أغننا بالعلم وزينا بالحلم وأكرمنا بالتقوى وجملنا بالعافية يا أرحم الراحمين. آمين. وصلى الله على سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه وسلم. اللهم إنا نستودعك ما قرأناه وما نقرأه في هذا المجلس وما قبله وما بعده فاحفظه علينا حتى ترده إلينا وقت احتياجنا إليه يا أرحم الراحمين. اللهم أكرمنا بنور الفهم وأخرجنا من ظلمات الوهم وافتح لنا أبواب رحمتك وانشر علينا حكمتك يا أرحم الراحمين. آمين. وصلى الله على سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه وسلم. اللهم يا من مقاليد الأمور كلها بيده وإليه يرجع الأمر كله يا فتاح يا عليم يا فتاح يا عليم يا فتاح يا عليم افتح علينا فتحا قريبا. وصلى الله على سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه وسلم. الحمد لله رب العالمين. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. رب اشرح لي صدري ويسر لي أمري واحلل عقدة من لساني يفقه قولي وسدد لساني واهدي قلبي وافعل كذلك بأحبابي أبدا وارزقنا كمال فتوح العارفين والفقه في الدين مع كمال الإخلاص والصدق واليقين والعافية والغنى والنصر والحفظ والنفع والانتفاع وخيرة الدارين وعلوم الأولين والآخرين. آمين. وصلى الله على سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه وسلم. والحمد لله رب العالمين. الفاتحة. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين الرحمن الرحيم مالك يوم الدين. إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين. اهدنا الصراط المستقيم صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين. آمين. الحمد لله الحمد لله الحمد لله الحمد لله. My mother waited for you. You haven't pray. Oh, I haven't pray. Okay, my mother was waiting. Then she was like, Kira, tak apalah. Faiza is not appearing. Hmm. Okay, Bismillah. Okay, Alhamdulillah. So we are continuing with our book necessary التذكرة الحضرمية فيما يجب على النساء من الأمور الدينية. التأليف الحبيب محمد بن سالم حفيظ العلوي الحسيني الحضرمي الشافعي. I saw this book, the Hadrami Reminder, in that is the original title, the Hadrami Reminder, right? But I'll put for translation, you put necessary reminder. for every woman about the affairs of her religion. Right? And Alhamdulillah, we are coming towards the end of the third section, right, of the book, which is on the fiqh of prayer. Right? The first part of the book focusing on aqidah, and second part of the book focusing on menses, specifically menses and istihada and nifas. And then the third part of the book on salat. And the last part of the book will be about relationships with other people and character, inshallah. Okay, alhamdulillah. Let us go down to the where we are at. Bismillah. So we are continuing on Sujud Sahwi, right? And this course is actually a beginner's course. This is supposed to be a basic course, right? And technically that he does go into some issues, right? Like for example, Sujud Sahwi, he goes into that, right? Because the things that you'll find around you, right? So yeah lah. So I apologize, right, if like, because of the questions, right, things get complicated, right? So if you understand the text itself, right, that is sufficient, right, for those who are basic, right, to this, because I know there are several converts here and there are several really beginners here, right? So, and it is a beginner's text, that's why I chose it, right? It is a beginner's text. The Haramiyah is a beginner's text. But mashallah, it's a question, then it's a question that makes it very complicated. So when the questions come in, then I will answer the questions. Then I think that some people sometimes can get lost, right, in what's going on, right, with the questions. Right? But the text in itself, right, is minimal and is very clear. And mashallah, this green book is the sharah, it's not the text. The text itself is a very small white book. It's very thin, which I lost when Hawaba Mariam was here. I don't know where it went. I was using it when she was here, and then I don't know now. I don't know where it went. Okay, so I'm using this one now. Okay. Okay, tamam. Right, so we were at the Ab'adu Salah and we spoke about it at length. Right. So now, right, we are going into Sujud Sahwi. Right. So Sujud Sahwi, which is the sujud of forgetfulness. And we're going into a few issues in regards to this sujud. Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Okay. Let's see. Tamam. نعم. سجود السهو بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. قال المؤلف رحمه الله تعالى ونفعنا الله به وبعلمه في الدارين إلى أن قال سجود السهو هو سجدتان قبيل السلام كسجود الصلاة وينبغي أن تقول في كل منهما سبحان من لا يسهو ولا ينام 3 مرات أو نقول 3 مرات. نعم. وتجلس بينهما وتسلم بعدهما ويطلب سجود السهو من الإمام والمنفرد عند ترك بعض عند ترك بعض من أبعاد الصلاة أو فعل منهي عنه كزيارة ركن فعل سهوا أو نقل ركن قولي إلى غير محله أو فعل شيء يبطل عمده الصلاة ولا يبطل سهوه إذا فعل ناسيا وأما المأموم فلا يسجد لسهو نفسه وإنما يسجد لسهو إمامه تبعا للإمام فإن لم يسجد إمامه سجد وهو بعد السلام الإمام. تمام. وهو السنة ولا يجب إلا على المأموم إذا سجد إمامه ومما يحسن التنبيه عليه أن بعض الناس ينسى التشهد الأول أو القنوت ويتذكره بعد بلوغه إلى الركن الذي بعده فلا يجوز له العود حينئذ بل يجب على البقاء فيما هو فيه ويسن له سجود السهو فإن عاد إلى التشهد الأول أو القنوت بعد بعد تلبسه بالركن الذي بعده. هذا إن كان إمامه هذا أو عامدا عالما بطلت صلاته. هذا إن كان إماما أو منفردا. أما المأموم فيعود لمتابعته إمامه. ما شاء الله. Okay, tamam. Okay, Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Tamam. On this section on Sujud Sahwi, right, on the sujud that is underline, right, Sujud Sahwi, right, which basically means, right, the sujud of forgetfulness. Okay, the sujud of forgetfulness. And he says here, let me translate the first part first. Sujud Sahwi huwa sajdatan. Right, so sujud Sahwi is two sujuds. Qubil salam ka sujudi salah, right? Before the salams, right? Just like the sujud of the prayer. See, next time I should just flash it on the whiteboard because I have a projector. It didn't occur to me. Just flash it. Yeah, next time I should just flash the whatever I'm typing just on the whiteboard. Now, right, just like the sujud of the prayer. وينبغي أن نقول في كل منهما, and a person, and that we should mention in each sujud. I'll put it in transliteration. Subhana man la yasu wa la yansa. Subhana man la yashu wa la yansa. Tamam? Subhana man la yashu wa la yansa. Right, 3 times 3, which means all perfect is the one who never forgets, who is never yes, who has been forgetful, yes, also forgetful. Who is never like absent-minded, yes, who is more absent-minded, who is never, or negligent also can, right? Negligent, right? Nor forgetful, who never put it in a verb form, neglects nor forgets. Tamam. That's the meaning of the dua. Right? So Subhana man la yashu wa la yansa 3 times. When you perform Sujud Sahwi, right? So just I'm going to put a note here. Right? Note. Right? This is said for mistakes done unintentionally. Right? However, if if a person left, right, I call it the ab'ad lie, left of the ab'ad. You all know it's ab'ad already, right? Ab'ad. Right, so we've been going through the ab'ad of the prayer, which is an ab'ad. I just put it here like, in case you forgot. Right, bracket, means sunnas. And we went through it in the past few weeks. If a person left of the ab'ad, right, on purpose, right, then he is to say astaghfirullah, right, times 3. Right, because they did it 3 times, they did it on purpose, it was not forgetful. Right, so the Sujud Sahwi is not Subhana man la yashu wa la yansa, but it is astaghfirullah for being on purpose negligent, right, in the prayer. Okay, so that is the first thing. So the first thing that he does here, right, is that he explains to us what is the definition of Sujud Sahwi. And the definition of Sujud Sahwi. So it is automatically 2 sujuds. There is no such thing as a 1 Sujud Sahwi. Right? They come in pairs. And they must come in pair, right? And one Sujud Sahwi suffices all the mistakes in the prayer. So if we had several mistakes in the prayer, right, and the mistakes are specific mistakes, which I will go through in the text to come. There are specific mistakes that will call for Sujud Sahwi. Not every mistake calls for a Sujud Sahwi. specific mistakes in the prayer, which he actually writes about here. So if someone does a mistake, right, in the prayer, if someone does a mistake in the prayer, never mind, Muaz calls the cat. Muaz, she's scared of the cat. You hold Kitty, okay? Can you protect her from Kitty? Yeah, she's terrified of Kitty. And Kitty has been doing very, very random movements, right? She dashed and she dashed and she dashed. Yeah, so can Aisha, can you protect Auntie from Kitty? Okay. Don't let Kitty. Huh? Can we subhana man la yansa wala yasu? Subhana man la yasu wala yansa? That's about it. Layan tak ada. Yashu wala yansa punya nam. Allahu alam. Allahu alam. It's a dua. Right, so as long as you speak in Arabic in your sujud, it's yeah, but as far as I have learned, even when I was younger, what I learned when I was younger was Subhanallah yansa wala yasud. That's what I learned. Then in this book it says Subhanallah la yasud wala yansa. Dia sebalikan. They bring they flip it. Wala yanam pun also can lah. La yanam also can if you want to say la yanam. Right. Yeah, lah, but basically it fits better yasu and yansa because in the prayer you yasu and you yansa. Right, you forgot and you were negligent. I didn't sleep. I didn't sleep. If you had slept in your prayer, it will nullify your prayer, which many people don't realize that it does. Right, sleeping in your prayer nullifies your prayer because your wudu is nullified. Right, unless you are seated with your seat on the floor, which you never do in your prayer. Right, so I know of people when they're praying in the sujud, they fall asleep. And they actually fall asleep in the sujud. If you fall asleep in your sujud, your wudu batal. Your wudu is nullified. Your prayer nullified. Right, so yeah, but because I heard you're in the last atahiyat, right? You're not seated flat on the ground. Unless you slept when you're praying on a chair. Impossible, eh? So you're praying on a chair, Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. And you fall asleep. The one I would say wudu is still sah, right? Because you're seated on a chair. But if you're like tawarruk, iftirash, right? All the different guys are sitting in the prayer, none of them, your seat is actually on the ground. Yes. No. It's because it nullifies the wudu. I said the prayer is nullified. And so because people tell me, today I was so tired for subuh, I fell asleep in my subuh, and then I woke up, I was in sujud, then I continue. Now I said, your prayer, your prayer, batal. Your prayer is nullified. If you fall asleep in your prayer is nullified. And you can't just get up and pray again because you got no wudu. You gotta go take wudu. You got like, I fell asleep. Okay, pray again. Right, go take wudu first. Go and do your wudu first, then pray again. You don't like guilty, isn't it? Feels guilty, feels like that. Huh? Yeah. You fell asleep. As long as it's not nice, as long as it's not sleepiness. The difference between sleepiness and sleep is that sleepiness you still hear, and sleep you don't hear. So for as long as you can still hear what's going on, even if you can't make out what's being said, it's just gibberish to you lah. And there is sleepiness, like when you fall asleep in class, right? Like I'm still talking, but you just don't make any sense of what I'm saying, right? That means you're sleepy. But the moment you don't hear, so the last thing you heard I say was Sujud Sahwi, and next thing you hear me talking about was virtuous character. So for example, that means you knocked out in between. So you didn't hear what happened in between. Right, that means you fell asleep at that point. Right, so but of course, if in the prayer, you would know if you are hearing like the imam or something around you. It's just like a side thing lah for that. But you don't yanam in your prayer lah. Unless you don't sleep in your prayer. Right? Unless like you do and then your prayer is nullified. Right, mashallah. I think it's quite it can be quite funny lah. Someone already did mistakes in their prayer because they're so sleepy, they made a few mistakes. Okay lah, made so many mistakes, do Sujud Sahwi. They fall asleep. Then the whole thing batal, nullified. Then it's pray all over again. Okay, mashallah. Okay, let's do say astaghfirullah. Okay. Okay, that is the first part, right? And to sit between the two sujuds. Okay, that's how I usually sit between the two sujuds. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad. ويطلب سجود السهو من الإمام ومنفرد عند ترك بعض من أبعاد الصلاة. Okay, I'm going to put it here. Okay, so sit between the two sujuds. Right, so basically, if you are, I'll put another note here. Right, right, note if you intend to do sujud sahwi, then for the final tashahhud, tashahhud and the sitting between the two sujuds of sujud sahwi, right? The sitting is iftirash. Right? Iftirash, right? Basically, the same sitting, right, in the same sitting in the normal sitting, right? In the first tashahud lah. Right, tashahud. Right, so iftirash is basically like where you put your feet up beneath you, right? So you don't like sit on the ground, right? The last tashahud you're going to sit on the ground, right? Right, so if let me just explain this one a bit further lah. Right, so iftirash, oh my pen is in the room. Okay, tak apa, I draw here. Okay, so if it's iftirash, right? Right, it looks like this. Okay, so this is the a person's seat. Okay, you're sitting down, it's the back of a person, okay? And then you can draw on the whiteboard. And then your feet is underneath you, right? You can even demonstrate, someone can demonstrate. Right? And then your feet is on the side of you. Okay, and here's your legs. Okay? Right, this is called iftirash. All right, that's how you sit. Okay, that is how you sit when you are that is how you sit, right, in every part of your prayer where there is sitting, except the final except before you want to salam. If you want to put a blanket rule, right, how you sit when you are intending a movement thereafter, right, is iftirash. So there's a blanket rule. Right? If you intend to move thereafter in the prayer, right, then your sitting will be iftirash. If you intend to salams and end your prayer thereafter, then your sitting will be tawarruk. Right? And tawarruk is the one whereby and the word tawarruk is from the waraka, which basically means your bottom. And it's called tawarruk. Why? Because you are seated on your bottom. Right? Iftirash means to spread out, because you spread out your feet beneath you. That's why it's called iftirash, because you're going to spread out your feet beneath you. So tawarruk is when like the body bends a little bit like this, right? And then the feet is here, right? This is the feet that is standing. I mean, it is propped up. Right? There is erect. They call it erect. Right? And then the other foot is here. Okay. Okay, the other foot is here. Okay. Oh, I do. Oh, but yeah, I do also. Okay. Okay. Where's my marker? Anissa, can you give me my marker? Give me one marker. Is there a marker anywhere? A marker is there. Any marker, use one marker. That was great. Come. Okay. Right. So very simple. Iftirash, why? Because your foot is spread out beneath you. Your foot is here, and your other foot is erect. Right. This is your iftirash, and then tawarruk because you're on the ground. Okay. So just a like a rule of thumb, right? That if you here, and it goes this way. Okay, that if you intend to end the prayer, you sit in this way. All right. If you don't intend to end the prayer and you're going to do more of the prayer, so whether you like, for example, you're praying in a congregation, and then the imam is going to end the prayer, but you're not going to end the prayer because you are masbuk, you ended the prayer, right? So you're going to get up. So you sit this way. Right, this blanket rule. Right, so if you intend to do a Sujud Sahwi, you're not going to end your prayer yet. Right, you're going to sit this way in your last attahiyat. And then between the two sujuds, you're still going to end your prayer. Right, so you're going to sit this way in between the two sujuds. And after the second sujood Sahwi, you get up. Now you're going to end your prayer. You sit this way. Okay, that's just the rule of thumb. Right, that's how we understand it lah. Okay, Allahumma salli ala Sayyidina Muhammad. Naam. Right, so in iftirash, okay, so note, if you do intend to do Sujud Sahwi for the final tashahhud and sitting between two sujuds of Sujud Sahwi, and the sitting is iftirash, the first sitting in the first tashahud, the same as that. Okay, so I drew it there, explained it, right? Let me just for clarity, just go through the steps. Okay, before I go into the laws of Sujud Sahwi, go through the steps is clearly, right? So people know exactly how to perform Sujud Sahwi, and you don't doubt yourself, right, when you want to perform Sujud Sahwi. Okay, or you're so scared that it's wrong, right? So you never do it. Because I mean, it is a way. Sujud Sahwi is a mercy from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, right? To gain from the rewards of the prayer that you missed out. Right? It's a mercy from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. But of course, after hearing me say, if you do it wrong, your prayer is gonna be nullified. Okay, lah, it's okay lah. I don't have to do it. No, mashallah. But be confident lah. Be confident of your, of your fiqh. The thing about fiqh. Be confident of your fiqh. Right? So when someone when someone says something else very different, right, or someone does something that is wrong, right, you be firm on what you know. So you be firm on what you know, and you do as what you know. Right? So when you learn something well, learn it well. Right? So that you can be confident, and you're like, I don't know lah, I don't know lah, I don't know lah. Like in that way. Okay. Tamam. Right. So how do you do, right, the method, right, or the way lah? Step by step. Step by step. What is it? Okay. So first one is, right, sit for final at-tahiyah. Okay. And I put bracket here, iftirash. Okay. Huh? Yeah. Because the seatings are all sunnah. So even if you just sit on your thighs, yeah. Basically, the rukun of sitting is that you sit. So however you sit, just sit. Right? So even if it's sprained ankle, even if like problems in your legs, all that, but if you have to sit, if you have to stretch your leg out, stretch your leg out. The hukum is sit. So however you want to sit, the sunnah is to do iftirash. Sunnah. But however you are able to sit. Right, then takbir, right, with intention to do sujud sahwi. Okay, so you're doing your tahiyah, you made a mistake in your prayer, right? So, and you know with confidence that this will require sujud sahwi. All right, so you did a mistake, right? So after you finish your at-tahiyat and the tashahhud and the du'as, everything, finish everything to the very end. Right before you give salams. It's right before salams. So all the du'as you want to say, they usually say, against Dajjal and against the punishment of the grave and so on. Everything you say, okay, you're done with all the du'as. Okay. So at this point, usually you will say Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah, right? Okay, don't say Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. Right? Intend in your heart, sujud sahwi, Allahu Akbar. Right? Go into sujud sahwi. Okay, and then through sujud sahwi, right? And then number 3, perform sujud, sujud, and say the dhikr, subhanalladhi la yansa wa la yashu, or subhanalladhi la yasu wa la yansa, or subhanalladhi la yasu wa la yansa wa la yanam. Right, so you can say any of them, right? So it's okay. Right, so they say the zikr or astaghfirullah, astaghfirullah, astaghfirullah if you were negligent or lazy, right? With the at-tahiyyat, right? Because the rest of the reasons for sujud sahwi can't be done on purpose. Because if they were done on purpose, they would nullify your prayer. Right? The only thing that you can be doing on purpose that will require sujud sahwi is the leaving of kunut and at-tahiyyat. There are several reasons why sujud sahwi is done, not just the leaving of kunut and tahiyyat. There are several. There's a list of reasons. Right? What would cause or what would call for sujud sahwi? So sujud and say the dhikr, right? Whatever you want to say, right? And then sit back up, and this one is iftirash as well. Right, iftirash, right, for tuma'nina. Right, sit back up for tuma'nina. Okay, so you get back up, right, a moment, then go back down. So don't go very quick, right? A moment, tuma'nina, and go back down. Right, every moment requires a tuma'nina by default. Right, there is no such thing as no tuma'nina in any part of the prayer. Right, every part of the prayer will have tuma'nina for it to be counted as a movement. So this is it's a brief movement lah. It's a brief pause, right, for tuma'nina. Then number 5, right, sujud again, and say the dhikr, right, sit back up, and this is now is tawarruk, right, tawarruk, right, and give salams. Okay, give salam immediately. Don't do anything. You sit back up, no recitation, no reciting anything, no dua, nothing. Assalamualaikum warahmatullah. Okay. It is the kaifiyah, right, the method of doing Sujud Sahwi. Let me continue into the reasons for which it might be, the reasons for which Sujud Sahwi will be sunnah, right, for you to do. Okay, I'll go through the entire section first, right, and then I will answer the questions that are there. All right. Inshallah. Let me just do the entire thing, because sometimes the questions come and the answers coming. Right, so let me just finish the entire thing first. Okay. Tamam. Right. So, وَيُطْلَبُ سُجُودُ السَّهْوِ مِنَ الْإِمَامِ وَالْمُنْفَرِدِ عند. Okay. And sujud sahwi is sought. I would say sought, from the imam. Sought meaning sunnah. Okay, sought. So they can't say like you must do it, or they can't say it's on you. It's not on you, right? But it is something that is yutlab. Right? Yutlab meaning it is requested, it is sought, right? Meaning it is sunnah, right? From the imam and a person praying by himself. Okay, not a ma'mum. Okay, is sought from the imam and a person praying by himself, if he does one of the following, one or more of the following, and if you do more than one, it just calls for one set of sujud sahwi, one or more, right, of the following. Right, the first one, as we just took earlier on, right, is that leaving. Okay, let me just get the Arabic down. Right, منفرد عند ترك بعض من أبعاد الصلاة. Right, leaving a ba'd, right, which is basically main sunnah, right, of the ab'ad, right, which is also main sunnah, right, main sunnahs, right, leaving a main sunnah of the main sunnahs, right, which is basically what, right, refer to previous section. Okay, the first section we went in detail what are the main sunnahs of the prayer. They are specific. Right? So not any sunnah will require a sujud sahwi. You must always emphasize over and over again, because some people, they think any sunnah requires a sujud sahwi. Right? So be very, very clear what requires a sujud sahwi. That's the first one, and you went through that in detail the last time round. And then what's it, Muhammad? أو فعل منهي عنه كزيارة ركن فعل سهوا, right? Or number two, doing something prohibited in the prayer forgetfully. Okay, so doing something prohibited in the prayer, munhi anhu, right, forgetfully, such as adding on a rukun. Rukun meaning integral. Okay, let me explain that. Right, so in the prayer, if you add on a rukun, I mean an integral in the prayer on purpose, straight away your prayer is nullified. It is nullified. The moment you move into a rukun on purpose, knowing it is additional, it is not part of the prayer, straight away your prayer is nullified. You do not have the liberty to do that. Right? So, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has made specific for us, like how many raka'ats for each prayer, how many sujud, how many ruku'. So someone can't think that, oh, I do more raka'ats, I do more sujud, I do more ruku'. Right? It is more righteous. If you want to do that one kind of thing, go and do all the sunnah prayers. But don't do it in the wajib. You cannot touch the wajib. Right? So it is not righteous. It is not more righteous, right, to change what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has set. Right? And this is what is the wisdom behind that? That is to prevent, right, people from going into excess. Right? So you cannot change the wajib. The wajib is a wajib. You can't change it. Right? If you want to add additional prayers, up to you, do it sunnah. Because if people begin messing with the wajib, then other people begin to follow them, then it becomes too much for people to bear. Right? So the wajib is what is called by Habib Abu Adani, right? He calls it the thawabit. Right? What is firm and fixed in our religion, nobody can change this. So even like for Ramadan, right, Allah has made the Eid, right, to be haram to fast. Right? Because if someone were to think, hey, I want to fast 40 days lah. Isn't that better? The more is the better. No, of course not. Ramadan is specifically 30 days max. You cannot increase Ramadan. You cannot. Right? But if you want to do a sunnah, you go take a break one day, then you're allowed to do more fastings after the first day of break of in Shawwal. Right? So it's very strict in our religion and not to allow something, because I got this question a few times from a few mothers lah, that their children, right, in some form of religious enthusiasm, alhamdulillah, they have that, right? They keep praying more and more and more rakats, right? To their Zuhur and their Asr and their Maghrib. Wow, mashallah, 3 not enough. Must do 5, right? Or 10. More is better. Right? That is the mentality of human beings. Or children, more is better. Right? So the mother actually asked me the question, right? That my children like to just do more rakats. And then should I stop them? Isn't it good that they like to pray? And I said, yes, you have to stop them if they're continuing on the wajib. If you want to do more rakats, teach them to do sunnah prayers. And then can do as much as you want. Do 200, right? But do not add on to the Maghrib. Right? The other day, so my brother was saying to me that his son likes to sujud. So he keeps performing sujud over and over again in the prayer. So sujud and get up, and then sujud and get up, and then sujud, like, and then so he and his wife, they were discussing lah, is this an okay thing for this boy to do, right? And then like he was saying, but sujud is good, what? You just do a lot of sujud. Sujud is good. Right? And I said to him, no, you cannot. You can't just happily add things to the prayer, right? So teach him, right, that you are not to sujud within the prayer over and over again, right? But outside the prayer, you want to stay in sujud, stay lying sujud. It keeps you, behaved. I can stay in sujud, or you can pray more and more rakats lah. I can more and more sujud, but you don't add more than 2 sujuds per rakaat, unless you have 2 more to do for sujud sahwi. Right? So it is prohibited to add on any integral. So if someone does it forgetfully, if someone adds an integral forgetfully, it does not nullify the prayer. Only if it's on purpose nullifies the prayer. Like which is why if you follow the imam who's doing something wrong, your prayer is nullified because the imam is forgetful. You are on purpose. Right? So if you follow the imam and the imam did something wrong, he got up for a 5th rakat, and you know for sure the imam is wrong, it's completely impermissible for you to follow. You cannot follow. Right? The imam, because you know you're not forgetful, you know it. Right? So if you do something forbidden in the prayer forgetfully, such as adding on to a rukun, an integral of the prayer, right, and this would call for sujud sahwi. So for example, like getting up for a 5th rakaat, right, or performing like a 3rd sujud in your prayer, or sitting down after the 1st rakaat doing a tahiyat, and you remember, 1st rakaat, right, and you get up, right? So you did like extra integrals here and there, right? So that would call for a sujud sahwi. That is why if you forget number of rakaats, you do sujud sahwi, because you're not so sure did you add or not. Because you don't know, because you forgot. Okay? That is why doing an extra rakaat will call for sujud sahwi. Okay. وَنَقْلُ رُكْنِ وَنَقْلُ, let me see. And I think rukun, adding on a rukun, that is a physical action. Because it's rukun fi'ali. So because rukun, you can be that is physical, and that is verbal. There's a verbal rukun, there is a physical rukun. So here we are only talking about physical, right? Physical rukun. Right? So if you add on a verbal rukun, it does not call for sujud sahwi. So like for example, let's say I read Fatihah again, right? It does not call for sujud sahwi, right? But it is very, very makruh to do so, to read Fatihahs over and over again, because it opens the door for waswasah. Right. And I think last week I was talking to someone who had this problem, right, whereby she would pray Isha and she would take 20 minutes to pray Isha. Right? Why? Because 1st rakaat, read Fatihah. My Fatihah not good. Read again. Fatihah not good. Read again. So in 1 rakaat, you read 5 Fatihahs. And I said, you're not allowed to do that. The religion stops that. You are not allowed to do that. Right? 1 Fatihah enough. Continue. Right? Why? Because it opens the door of waswasah. Right? So now Shaitan's going to play with you. Going to keep telling you to keep doing your Fatihahs over and over again. Right? You can't do that. So in our religion, there are parts whereby the doors are shut. Right? Why? To prevent waswasah. Right? That can happen to human beings. And she ended up having like a 20-minute, Isha prayer, right? Which makes her thereafter reluctant to even pray. And that's the whole game of shaitan. Right? It's going to make things so difficult for you to do. And after a while, she left the prayer. Right? Because it is so difficult. And of course, it's even worse to leave the prayer, right? Right? But it's just the way Shaitan works. Right? He makes things so difficult on people. The waswasa here, waswasa there, all kinds of issues. Right? He keeps whispering. Your niyat is not correct. Your this is not correct. Your that is not correct. Right? You need to know how to shut him up. Right? Don't shut him up. Don't let him speak to you. Right? And bother you in your prayer. Right? So for example, niyat before your prayer. Right? Salli for the subhi. That's the minimum that you need to do. Okay, you go, Allahu Akbar. Easy. It's in your heart. Usalli for a subhi in your heart. Let's go, Allahu Akbar. Easy. Like, why? It is easy. Like, well, my 6-year-olds can do it. My 7-year-olds can do it. I train them on it. Just get your heart to say, Usalli for a subhi. It's not hard. And how many times are we in our prayer and our mind is talking about something else? And your lips are reciting Surah Fatiha. Not Allahu Akbar, Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Allah Kabir, Alhamdulillah. The whole time you're doing things on your lips, your mind is talking about something else. And you come and say, I can't do the takbir and the niyat at the same time. But throughout your prayer, your mind is talking about something else, and your lips are saying something, a lot of things. Right? And the mind is like, oh, the one whole story going on in the mind. Right? Of course you can. Right? But it's just the waswasa is the one that makes people think they cannot. Right? The shaitan says, no, not counted, no, not counted, not counted. He was saying like that. And you keep doing it over and over again, you get frustrated. Right? Because he's playing with you, he's messing with you. Okay, so don't let him, bother you in that way. Right? So tamam. Now, so doing something prohibited in the prayer, I'm tapping them all out first. I'm going to the Shara, inshallah, in a while. No, it's not Shara, no, he's just tapping out first. Okay, Shara belum. Shara's coming. Tamam. وَالنَّقْلُ الْقَوْلِ إِلَى غَيْرِ مَحَلِّهِ, right? And to shift, right? Or to shift a verbal rukun to where it is not meant to be recited. Okay, so for example, however this happens, right? For example, someone were to recite Surah Fatiha, right, in just sitting between two sujuds, which can happen if you're praying seated. It can possibly happen, right? So if you're praying seated, you can get very confused where you're at. I agree. It is confusing. I don't find it confusing though, because you gotta like keep yourself in check. What am I doing? Right? And are you on? My mom, when she had the COVID, like she was so her head was spinning. Like she can't even get up. She had to pray lying down. And she praying lying down is so hard. You have no clue what you're doing. Because like it's just like you're making very minimal movements, and of course with the COVID, like she was delirious. She was delirious. So she came in and out of consciousness. She can't even get up because whenever she get up, her head would spin and she'll fall back. And her COVID was quite bad. Right. So she prayed lying on the right, right, and I saw that she was praying. Right, but she said that she was half there, half not there. And half the time she has no idea whether she's standing or ruku or sujud. She has no clue. So it's really not easy. But she tried her best. Right. And then after when she got better, she got out. She got out all those prayers. Because she's very sure it's all like she has no idea what happened, right, in her prayer. She can't even remember the prayer, right, because of the illness. Right? But that's what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has required of us. Do what you can. Right? And there is the hadith of Rasulullah, whereby he said, whatever I have commanded you to do what you can. And do the maximum of what you can. Right? Whatever he has commanded. Right? Whatever you have fallen short, right? May Allah have mercy on us. Right? But it is on us, right, to always seek, right, to be sincere with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, right, and to do the very best. Right? So if you can do proper prayers, then do it. And do the very best that you can, because this is your sidq ma'allah. And there's a sincerity, your truthfulness with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and it will show as to how much efforts you put in to get your prayers right. Inshallah. But again, getting your prayers right does not mean having a lot of waswas in the prayer, right? Knowledge is light. Knowledge should remove you from all this waswasa. Assumption is darkness. Al-ilmu nur wal-jahl zalam. And knowledge is light, and ignorance, it is a darkness. To shift a verbal rukun to where it was not meant to be recited. So for example, you read Surah Al-Fatiha in your ruku, right? Or you read Surah Al-Fatiha in your sujud, right? Or you, wherever, like, so you move the rukun. Rukun that is qawli, right? It's a verbal rukun. So what are our verbal rukuns? There are 5. right? First one is Takbiratul Ihram, which high chances you will not move this one anywhere, right? Because Takbiratul Ihram happens at the beginning of the prayer. Then you have Fatiha, right? Then you have your Attahiyah, right? Then you have the Attahiyah, which includes the Tashahud. Then you have the Salawat, right? The Salawat. Then you have the Salam. You should be able to rattle it off, 5 of the Rukun Qawli, right? So for example, right, the example that Haba would give is that, people in Tarim, right, they have a habit of doing salawats whenever they sit or stand. It's their habit. When they sit, it's salawat. When they stand, it's salawat. Right? So it is possible that someone in their prayer, right, unmindfully, as they come down to sit, Allahumma salli ala Sayyidina Muhammad. So they have just moved a Rukun Qawli to where it's not supposed to be sit. The salawat is supposed to be in the tashahhud. So that will call for Sujud Sahwi. If someone would do that, right? So that we all don't do that. Right? But people, they do that. Right? So the salawat or the shahada, right? Or the salams, high chances you don't move it anywhere. Right? The salams. Okay. If you salam forgetfully, right? So for example, you are a masbuq. You are a masbuq into the salat. So the imam has prayed 2, you came in. Okay, you pray with the imam is on the final attahiyat, you follow the imam. Imam salam, you salam. You forgot that you are not, you forgot that you are not on your 4th rakaat. Right, so after you salam, right, and you see everybody else standing up. Oh yeah, then you realize that you're supposed to stand up as well. Right, so you have put a rukun, right, in a place but it was not supposed to be. You put a salam in the 2nd rakaat. It's supposed to be in the 4th rakaat, but you put it in 2nd rakaat. So it's an example as well. Right, so putting a rukun where it's not supposed to be. Right, salam's in the wrong place. Right, if that happens, right, because you just completely forgot that you are masbuk. Then you salam also. You sit there. MashaAllah. Okay, tamam. Okay, let me just finish up the points that I get the questions, and I will go through the shara also as well. Naam. I had to shift a verbal rukun to where it's not meant to, forgetfully. I had to shift a verbal rukun to where it was not meant to be recited forgetfully. It's all forgetful. Okay, so it's nothing of this is on purpose. Okay, all forgetfully. No, it does not. In our mazhab, no. In another mazhab. In our mazhab, no. It doesn't nullify. It's just like that's all. But why would if anything that is of dhikr in your prayer, it's part of the prayer. Any form of dhikr, right? But you are not to add, there are parts of the prayer you're not supposed to add on anything beyond what is from the sunnah of Rasulullah, and that would be at i'tidal. You're not to add on anything, and at the sitting between the 2 sujuds. And so these are the only 2 rukuns. You are not to add on anything beyond what's from the Prophet ﷺ. So you can only say what's in the sunnah, right? To say and no more than that. Of course, for kunut, it extends lah. For kunut. Okay. For ruku, you can recite whatever you want to recite in ruku. You can. You do Muqaddimah Hadramiyah, long dua in ruku. You can do it. Subhanallah. Sujud, of course, you can go and on, whatever you want to say in sujud. It's up to you. Right. Tahiyat, you can stay there before your salams and do every dua that you know. So you can kind of add on stuff, right? I'tidal and the sitting between the 2 sujuds, because these 2 rukuns are short rukuns and you are not to extend them. The rest of them, they can be long, and you can be in ruku and recite like in Arabic lah. It's only Arabic. You can't do it in English lah. Right? So any form of zikr or Quran is all part of the prayer. Foreign speech, you say foreign speech, right? So whether it's in Arabic or non-Arabic, foreign speech, but you direct to somebody else, right? So even if it's dhikr or Quran, but it is directed to somebody else, nullifies your prayer. Nullifies. Okay, because you cannot communicate with anybody except for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Yes, then it is all an intention. The words could be exactly the same, right? But the intention. So that's why even when you say subhanallah, for the imam to take notes, you must intend, I intend zikr. Yes, you must say, I intend zikr, subhanallah. Right? And even when you want to cry the imam's Quran, the imam read the wrong Quran, right? You must intend, I'm reading Quran, and you read it out the Quran. So you cannot intend to communicate with the imam. Yeah. We don't say one line. We all say the point. The point is not to strike. It's an action strike. To strike. Oh, how to move, how to clap. Okay. Okay, you put your hand in front of you. If you're standing, you clap here. Okay. All right. If you are sitting, right, you clap here. Okay. That's basically where you are when you clap. Okay, if you happen to be at i'tidal, because these are the only places whereby you might want to correct the imam, right? So standing, the clap would be for what would the imam do? Right. So for example, if the imam, no, it's not only you don't clap. Surah wrongly, you correct the imam. You have no idea what's the quiet, then you just keep quiet. And there was one video I saw some time ago. The imam was reciting a part of the surah, right? And the imam was correct. There was some guy in the makmum kept trying to correct the imam. He kept saying loudly and loudly. The imam kept repeating the same verse, and even the imam went on in the surah, the guy was shouting at the back. And then the next rakaat, the imam continued the surah and read the verse the guy was shouting. He got it as a mutashabihat. He got it wrong. But Ahmed, the Imam ignored him. The Imam was confident. I know I'm right. He's wrong. So you want to correct Imam, so you have to be confident, eh? Like, you don't like correct the Imam and you are wrong. Mashallah. That's basically it. It just isn't, and then on the tie. Because beyond that, okay, for a tie, what is meaning because the Imam stood up. Wrongfully, and the Imam stood up. So you just clap, right? And this one is more of the Imam set for tahiyat. And you got up and you are right. You clap for the Imam to stand. So the Imam is wrong. So basically, is that part of the Imam got the wrong rakaat, or they're doing the wrong actions. But Quran and all that, you don't clap. The Prophet, there's the story of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Sayyidina Abu Bakr. Sayyidina Abu Bakr, right, who was the Imam. Okay. It was not during the illness of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, but it was there. Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam had gone to visit someone that was quite far off from the center of Medina. He had gone to visit this person, right, he had gone to rectify, right, some conflict that was going on with these people. So when he went to their small village, and Medina is the main center. Around there are a lot of small villages, so they do have their own masjids and so on. So when he went to this small village to rectify what was going on with them, of course the Prophet came to their village. They hosted Rasulullah. Now, of course, right, so they had a feast and everything. People came down and all that, right? So because of that, Rasulullah was delayed for the next prayer at the masjid. He was delayed, right? So the Sahaba at the masjid didn't know where Rasulullah went, right? And then they were looking for him. And he was not sick, and it was healthy days. So they were looking for him. They couldn't find him, right? So they asked Sayyidina Abu Bakr to be the Imam. Sayyidina Abu Bakr became the Imam, right? And then while they were praying, Rasulullah came into the masjid. And he came back, came to the masjid, right? And he stood behind Sayyidina Abu Bakr, right? And then so when Rasulullah was behind Sayyidina Abu Bakr, Sayyidina Abu Bakr didn't see Rasulullah because he was behind him. The Sahaba also, Rasulullah standing behind Sayyidina Abu Bakr in prayer. He actually entered the prayer as a masbuq, right? So the Sahaba, they were doing this. They were clapping. They were clapping their hands, right? And Sayyidina Abu Bakr realized something was going on, right? And then so he turned, which shows permissibility of turning the head. He turned, right, to see, right, what was Rasulullah doing, right? And what was going on now. And he saw Rasulullah behind him, so he began to take a step back, right, to allow for him to take over the Imam position. Rasulullah put his hand on his back and pushed him forward. Indicating that if someone has begun being the Imam, you do not change that person. Even if someone better comes in, you don't change the Imam, right? Because they have begun the prayer. So it's all fiqh, and this whole hadith is fiqh and fiqh and fiqh and fiqh. And a lot of rulings come up from his hadith. Right? So he pushed Sayyidina Abu Bakr. It's very interesting. It is very interesting to learn usul fiqh, right? Because you see all the stories behind all this hukum and where they came from. Right? And the companions and the scholars pull out, right, all these rulings, so able to turn around, right? Can come in and get masbuq, right, behind. If the clap did not nullify their prayer, right? And then if someone is doing something wrong, you can gently do a movement to correct that person if what they are doing wrong does not nullify their prayer. Right? So him taking a step back not nullify his prayer. Right? So you can correct them, right, in what they are doing. You can correct them. Right? So that even like when you're praying in stuff, right, you can pull someone towards you, right? If the person is not moving, right, so you can correct them in what they are doing. Right? So there's some push Sayyidina Abu Bakr gently towards the front, right? And the prayer continued. At the end of the prayer, Rasul turned to them, and now the teaching happens. Right? So he turned to them and he said that when someone, okay, when you want to get the attention of the Imam in the prayer, then say Subhanallah, and don't be like women and clap their hands. Ruling, right? Men say Subhanallah, woman clap. Okay, and then he says, and Abu Bakr, right? You began as being an imam, right? Continue being an imam. Don't change. And then I said, it is not for Ibn Abi Quhafa, right, to be imam over Rasulullah. So in the sense that there was the adab lah that was there. Then Abu Bakr radiallahu anhu. Right? So that all this is the hukum lah around it. The ruling all came about around it, mashallah. Right, so they were all clapping lah. And so Rasul didn't stop them because they were all in prayer, but then he corrected them. Right? For the men, it is not clapping, it is Subhanallah. For the woman, it is clapping. Right? And it is clap once. I don't have to clap a few times, clap once. And the Imam would hear the clap. The Imam don't hear. Yeah, it's possible because like you're so far from the Imam and you clap and they don't hear anything. But if you're that far, there should be like men in between who would say the Subhanallah. Or didn't hear. Maybe didn't notice that someone clapped on him. Yeah, then just let it be lah. Yeah, then you continue as what you know to be correct. Okay, there are 9 comments here. Let me just get through the chapter. نعم وأما المأمور okay تمام right أو فعل الشيء okay تمام أو نقل ركن قول نعم إلى غير محله ناسيا أو فعل شيء no so ناسيا sorry ركن قولي is ركن قولي is whether you do it on purpose or you do it forgetfully, and then there will be a Sujud Sahwi on it. For rukun fi'li is forgetfully, because for rukun qawli and for verbal rukuns, it does not nullify your prayer if you do it on purpose. For physical rukuns, if you do it on purpose, nullifies your prayer. Are you confused? If you read something that is not supposed to be there on purpose, it doesn't nullify your prayer. So for example, if I read Surah Al-Fatiha in my sitting down, if I do it on purpose, does not nullify my prayer, but like it's something that's very macro and there's Sujud Sahwi on it. Why would I do that? Like why would someone do something on purpose and just get to do Sujud Sahwi after that? Unless you really want to Sujud Sahwi lah. Yeah. So high chances doing a rukun qawli, like a verbal rukun on purpose is very rare. People don't do it on purpose. Like would you like randomly read a tahiyah while you're standing? That's my question. So if you purposely do that. No, it would not. Yeah. Only physical rukuns, if you purposely do that, it will nullify. Verbal rukuns, no. In our mazhab. It's not a mazhab that says yes. But in our mazhab, no. Okay. نعم. Right. أو فعل شيء يبطل عمده صلاة ولا يبطل سهوه إذا فعل ناسيا. Or to do anything that if it was done on purpose would nullify the prayer, right? But if it was done forgetfully, would not nullify the prayer. Okay. I should do something that was, if you do it on purpose, would nullify the prayer, right? If you do it forgetfully, would not nullify the prayer, right? And later on, I will go into the examples of it, right? So, so for example, if you were to speak, right? So to speak, just like 2 words, for example, if it's done forgetfully, would not nullify the prayer. If it's done on purpose, nullifies the prayer. For on purpose, okay, anything done on purpose, right? If it's 2 letters with no meaning or 1 letter with a meaning, right? Nullifies your prayer.
This is different than what you said.
Yes, it's different because it's speech in prayer. Speech. It's not dhikr. The one that I was talking about is dhikr. That one is dhikr and is speech. Speech in prayer, say for example, oops. Okay. Did you say oops? What's his name?
Yeah, I see my daughter in danger. Like,
Okay lah. Yeah, someone's name. If you want someone's name, yeah, oops, or like you stumble your prayer lama. Then you Astaghfirullahalazim. Why is this all coming out of your mouth? But if that's an example. Other possible examples would be laughing. Something happens, something possible, right? Crying with sound. Crying with sound. Nullifies the prayer. Nullifies the prayer. Crying can be silent. Only silent crying. So there can be that sound is okay, right? But not that from the voice box. Okay. The one if you can't help it. Sniffing, coughing, all you can help it. Clearing the throats only allowed in Surah Fatiha. You need to clear your throat. Otherwise, you don't clear your throat on purpose. If it's forgetful, you can forgetful. It's okay. Right? But it's you go like that on purpose. That is between the Fatiha if your throat is stopping you from reciting Surah Fatiha. Because something in your throat. Right? But if let's say in the prayer itself, you're doing someone asked me before when she said when her husband does something wrong, she does that. In the prayer, I said, every time you do that, your prayer nullified. Halas, batal.
any part of my brain other than Fatiha, if I clear my throat.
Nullifies your prayer. If you do it on purpose. If you clear your throat on purpose and any other part of your prayer besides Fatiha, nullifies your prayer. No. Yeah, because you have to recite Surah Fatiha. Right. So clearing of the throat. So that's sneezy, people make noises. They say, chum, like that. They're like, there's a shouting before the sneeze. And all of this, all are forms of speech in the prayer. If it's accident, it's fine, and it calls for Sujud Sahwi. Sujud Sahwi.
Say Alhamdulillah after sneezing is considered speech.
Yes. If you say Alhamdulillah in that you intend for your sneeze.
But it's bad. You intend for the speech, but for the sneeze, but isn't it? You didn't do it purposely.
Not purposely.
Consciously, like,
not purposely. You do purposely? Okay. That means not purposely lah. Not purposely. Okay. Yeah, it's a zikr, and it's not purposely as well. So it's just like it's not on purpose lah. Alright, so burping is as long as it's not on purpose lah. Like purposely your prayer, right? If it's something that just came by itself, that means ghalabahu, that means it overcame you, but then it's not on purpose. And same thing with sneezing and coughing and so on, all not on purpose. Clearing the throat, if it's you are mindless about it, I mean you're not mindful about it, then it does not nullify the prayer. Because I know some people they keep clearing their throat all the time, and they don't even notice the reflex to keep doing it. I prayed by an imam once, he kept clearing his throat. And I was like thinking, is the person praying for sound? They kept so I just assumed that he's just doing it forgetfully, yeah. Subconsciously. Yeah, something like that or whatever. They keep.
what if it's like there's no sound?
How do you clear your throat with no sound? Is it possible to clear your throat with no sound? If you can, I mean, then there's no problem at all. Huh? No, sleeping is if it's because of illness, because of no issue. But you don't do it on purpose. You pray it. That's like someone not right, right? Someone who's not proper. Right. So mashallah. So just to ensure that you don't do this kind of things. Right. So I will answer the questions also. Got 12 questions already. Okay, right. So for example, like speech in prayer, right? Or for example, eating or drinking a little bit, right? In prayer. Right. So a little bit would be for eating, the bit would be 1 sesame seed, right? And drinking would be 1 drop. So if you're praying and you feel like a part of the habad sauda, for example, is at your teeth. So you kept it on your tongue so that you don't swallow it. Then after a while you realize, it's swallowed already. So not on purpose, right? And it was all forgetful. And it's less than a sesame seed. Right? It's small part of habad sauda. Right, then Sujud Sahwi. And if you want to just do a Sujud Sahwi. Yeah, this is what is done. If it's done on purpose, nullify your prayer. If it's done forgetfully, would not nullify your prayer. Okay, tamam. Okay, so let me. Okay, I will speak about the makmum later on, right? But okay, I'm going to answer the questions first. Now I'll go back into the Shara a bit. What's that? No. Okay, let's see. A lot of questions. Let me go back. All the way to here. Send your questions in public so that everybody can read. Because some people send it like direct to me. So there's a question here. If you don't remember the dua for Sujud Sahwi, we can say in our heart, oh Allah, forgive me, I forget. Yeah, you can. It's in your heart. You can do whatever you do in your heart. And yeah, if you don't remember what to say. What if during standing your the skirt, right, doesn't drop, you quickly pull it back, nullify. Okay, the question here is that if I'm praying and my lower piece of my cloth, the kain, the skirt that people wear for their prayer, is loosened and it drops and you can put it back up, will your prayer be nullified? What's the answer? Can someone answer? Or need to do Sujud Sahwi? What's the answer? Can someone answer?
Depends on how you actually learn.
Bitafsil, I want a clear, detailed answer. Okay, question. If someone is praying and they're wearing two-piece prayer garment with a bottom skirt, right? So while praying and while standing, right, the bottom skirt falls. Okay, but they quickly pull it back up. Okay, first question. Does this nullify the prayer? And I want to answer in full detail, right? Yes or no. And those who ever do FAQ paper, I will say, please explain your answer. I want a full explanation of the answer. And the second one is, do we have to do Sujud Sahwi? It's an easier question actually. Right? Because answer the second one, second one first. Do we have to do Sujud Sahwi? No. Right? That's not called for any Sujud Sahwi. There is no, is none of the reasons of Sujud Sahwi. Right? So pulling up your skirt or your kain for the prayer does not require any Sujud Sahwi because it's not one of the things that requires Sujud Sahwi. Is the first thing. Second question, the first question is, does it nullify the prayer?
Exposed to your aura.
Okay, so the first thing fell. Okay, if the skirt fell and your aura was exposed, continue the sentence. Less than subhanallah. Exposed. So first thing is that it will not nullify your prayer under these conditions. Okay, we have your answers clear. Okay, it will not nullify the prayer under these conditions. First, no aura was exposed for more than tumanina. Second, the amount of actions taken to pull up the skirt was less than 3. Okay, that's it. Full stop. Okay. However, if what you say? Chest, high chances you will not be turning your chest because you, right. So you say if this condition were not met, i.e. meaning that the aura was exposed for more than subhanallah, right, or more than 3 actions were taken to pull up the skirt, then they will nullify the prayer. Okay, and so things are very clear. Right? So when you see what nullifies the prayer, they are listed. Clear things nullify the prayer, nothing beyond this. Right? And same thing with wudu and so on. These are clear things that nullify it. Right? So inshallah. Okay, so fiqh is very clear. Because it's very systematic. Right? So if you understand all the systematic things, you would understand what it is. Okay. So if I pray Zohor 4 rak'ats, but second rakaat at the akhir, then I remember then salam, but I stand up. Did you Sujud Sahwi? Let's answer the question. Okay, so I pray 4 rakaat Zohor, right? At second rakaat, I did the full atahiyat up to the very end. Okay, I did not salam. I remembered that on my second rakaat, I didn't salam, and I got back up. Do I do Sujud Sahwi at the end of my prayer?
You can say if it's wrong, then purposely. It was purposely.
No, forgetfully.
Is it a good tahiyat?
She read selawat.
She extra on the
No, she read selawat. Selawat is rukun qawli.
extra tahiyat.
Not extra zikir. She moved. One of the points of Sujud Sahwi is to move a verbal rukun to where it's not supposed to be said, right? So, she said so there is a rukun. Let me see. No. Yeah, if in case she didn't do the ala is sunnah. Yeah, no Sujud Sahwi, correct. No Sujud Sahwi, correct. Because there is tahiyat, tashahud, and selawat is correct, right? For second tahiyat, yeah, correct. Then there is the al is sunnah. Yeah, on the family of Rasulullah is sunnah, right? On the second rakat, correct. So third rakat, that means no Sujud Sahwi, correct. No Sujud Sahwi. At all. But if she does the salams, then Sujud Sahwi, because the salam is out of place. Okay. Let's see another question. Second question: I did not do kunut and did not do Sujud Sahwi. Will my prayers be nullified? Let's answer that question. I did not do kunut and did not do Sujud Sahwi. Will my prayers be nullified? No, because kunut is sunnah and Sujud Sahwi is sunnah, so it will not be nullified. Didn't do kunut, didn't do Sahwi. So nullified and not prayer? No, because both are sunnah. Okay, they are both not of the integers of the prayer. So once you have memorized what the integers of the prayer are, that's all that is required for your prayer to be valid. If your integers are in place under the conditions of the prayer, your prayer is valid, right? No matter what happens. Okay. Tamam. Okay, I forget to do dua kunut. Do I have to do Sujud Sahwi? Yes, forgetting to do dua kunut is of the reasons to do Sujud Sahwi. Okay, how do we know how? Sunnah. It's all sunnah. How do we know how much or the severity of errors in the recitation of Surah Fatiha of the Imam that we should break away from the Imam? Okay, with regards to the Imam, right? The errors made by the Imam is changing of the letters in Surah Fatiha. So that, for example, instead of saying ha, he's saying ha. Instead of saying the, he's saying za. Instead of saying bod, he's saying dod, dal. He's doing a dal instead of a bod. Okay, these are ta, sirat alladhi. Instead of saying a ta, he's saying a ta, sirat alladhi. So the changing of letters, would cause for him to not be fit to be an imam. Should not be an imam. So if you hear the imam go Bismillahirrahmanirrahim, Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen, right? For example, right, the ha becomes ha, the a becomes a, right? And this is something that is quite common, like among society. Yeah, the a is not coming out, the ha is not coming out, right? The bod is not coming out, right? On his own, in his own prayer, may Allah have mercy on him, right? If he's trying his best, but he cannot be imam. The imam must have correct Fatiha. The imam must have correct Fatiha.
I might be hearing it wrong.
Okay, as long as it's correct that you're hearing it wrong, and you're not trying to convince yourself. I'm sure. It's no. You must know lah. Whether are you sincere, or are you just trying to just convince yourself? Okay, if you are doubtful that if you don't know for sure that his Fatiha is not correct. If you don't know for sure if his Fatiha is not correct, yeah, and then you don't know for sure lah. So you don't nullify your, you don't break away from the imam. But if you know for sure that the imam, I'm hearing it too many times, is alamin, it's very obvious, right? So you know for sure the imam is not reading Surah Fatiha, right? Then you break away from the Jama'ah. And you break away from the congregation. So it is even if it's one letter that he recites wrongly, right? The entire Fatiha, because the whole Fatiha is compulsory, every letter must be done correctly, and all the shaddas must be in. You must do all the shaddas, right? All the stress points, right? So when you go Ar-Rahman Ar-Rahim, right? Make sure that the stress points are there. Amin. I've heard several imams go, Waladhalin. There's no shada on a lam. They miss out the shada on a lam. I just go into a lam and they end the prayer. Right? So if you hear it, but you must have yaqeen. Must have yaqeen and certainty that this happened. If the imam, then you break away from the jama'ah. How do we intend to break away from the in the prayer? How to say it specifically? Just say in your heart, nawaitu mufaraqa an hadha al-imam. In Arabic or in English, you can say in your heart, I intend to break away from the jama'ah. And just say in your heart, I intend to break away from the jama'ah. And now you are praying by yourself. Okay. If the imam is not proficient in the reading of the Quran, he forgets or mispronounces one or two words, he should surah like Surah Kawthar, and does not take steps to improve recitation and memorization, it's recommended for us to not follow him as a ma'mum, right? To this person, particular imam. I asked this question before to one of the Habibs. He said that then don't be a ma'mum to this person. Right. So if the imam, so of course it can be very hard lah, to say to the imam that it's your grandfather or your mother or your father, an elderly person, right? But they're not getting it right, and they don't want to put in the effort and to get it right. This is dismissing the entire thing by saying that, oh, they can never get it, right? Oh, the dot is too hard or the ra is too hard or whatever. They just dismiss it. They're not trying, right? Then I asked about this, and then they said that, Allah Sayyidina Muhammad. Oh, was it? Huh? What? Was it glass? Oh, no, that's the pole. The pole fan. It's okay, the pole fan. Just put the pole back up.
See here.
In the center. Okay. 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 Tamam. Right. So in a sense, it's just be very kind to them, right? And just say that the person whose Fatiha is not correct cannot be the imam. Just be very, very, very kind to them. I just very sorry, but this is the hukum agama. Our religious law is like this, right? Then one of the younger men or whoever whose Fatiha is correct be the imam, right? And then you all follow that person, right? And this person will be a ma'mum to that person. But to be very, very kind to them, like in saying that. There was the question that was posted by when I was in Tarim to Habib Mashur, saying that every Taraweeh, Ramadan, their grandmother wants to be the imam. But the grandmother, she will mess up a lot of things lah. And then she forgets Surah Fatiha also, and then she goes to another ayat. So there are a lot of issues in her Fatiha. And they asked Habib, and then Habib said that need to speak to her, right? Because it's a ruling in the religion. It's a ruling, right? So you got to speak to them. So even like, for example, if an elderly person doesn't want to pray, you have to speak to them. Right? They are elderly, yes, right? But it's just obligation. Right? It's all under obligation. Right? So you have to speak to them, in some way, but nicely, gently. Right? The way you relay the message has to be done in the best way, lah. Right? So just do it in that way, right? Or if you don't want to say to them that the Fatiha is wrong or whatever, just say that can we have this person to be our imam, right, from now on, that kind of thing lah. That maybe in that way lah, or some more other lah. Okay, find your way lah, find your way, right? Okay, another question here. My father said that during the prayer, the responsibility falls on the imam, so the imam prays in the rak'at, we can follow even though we know it's the rak'at. Is this correct? No, it is wrong. Okay, it is wrong. Your father is wrong, sorry, but he's wrong, right? You do not follow the imam on a wrong. You don't follow the imam on a wrong, right? If you're unsure, you follow. But if you're very sure, you cannot. The moment you follow, your prayer nullifies. Okay, so you cannot follow. So question here, if we perform Jama'ah Zohor or Asar, can we recite multiple Fatihas while waiting for the Imam to go into ruku? No, you cannot. Right? Do we just keep quiet and wait? Read more surahs lah. Why you keep quiet? Read Surah Ikhlas over and over again. Each Surah Ikhlas is one third of the Quran. So if you're waiting for the Imam to finish his standing, you already finish Fatiha, you finish your Surah, and then now the Imam's still standing. Read Surah Ikhlas over and over again. It counts to one third of the Quran. But don't repeat Surah Fatiha, because Surah Fatiha is a rukun. Don't play with your rukuns. Rukuns don't touch. Right? Do the sunnahs in abundance. And that's the basic rule lah. Right? Rukuns or what is wajib, you don't touch. Leave it as it is. You want to do something in abundance, do all the sunnahs. The door is wide open, right, in this area. Okay. If we knowingly perform something prohibited, which was done forgetfully by the Imam, yes, your prayer nullifies. Do you do our prayer? Yes. Right. So if the Imam did something prohibited forgetfully, right? And then you knowingly, okay. So for example, oh DB, right? Adding a rukun lah, basically. Adding an extra rukun. So maybe in the second rakaat, right? The Imam added 3 sujuds. Right? So you know it's the third sujud. You cannot follow the Imam. You cannot. Right? So you just get up from where you are at. And then you get up and you wait. You get up, standing, and you wait for the Imam. You right? No, he's forgetful. He's forgetful. You are not. You know it's the third sujud. Right? Or if let's say you blur, you follow lah. You blur, you just do whatever the Imam does. If in Jama'ah you forgot to recite Surah Fatiha, should you get up and perform another rukun? Or you perform Sujud Sahwi after the Imam does salam? Who can answer this? So in Jama'ah, you forgot to recite the Fatiha while you are standing, right? And you have moved in your prayer already, right? Now what? Right? Do you do another rakaat or do you Sujud Sahwi? You forgot your Fatiha not on purpose. Forgot.
In Jama'ah.
In Jama'ah, yes, in Jama'ah.
I think you have to.
What's the answer? No. Yes, either you go back to the standing, right, and you repeat the and you do the Fatiha, right? Or if you completely forgot about it and then you get back to the next Fatiha. Usually, if you forget the Fatiha, you will know lah, right? Yeah, you will know because you don't know. So you just follow the ruku, you ruku with the Imam, and then so you just ruku, and then when will you remember?
If Imam does Fatiha, then he starts the surah, you read Fatiha. Then the surah is so long, then you wait, right? Then you're like, I read Fatiha. Yeah, right.
Okay, that one is different. That is not you forgot the Fatiha, you forgot if you did the Fatiha. It's a different thing. Forgot the Fatiha is you did not do it, and you remember you did not do it. So that, for example, you come into the prayer, the Imam is doing Surah Fatiha, right? Okay, then maybe the Imam did not do any Surah, the Imam ruku. You ruku with the Imam. So you for sure did not do the Fatiha, but at that point in time, you forgot to do the Fatiha, right? And you ruku with the Imam. Okay, so in that case, right, if you have gone, it's the same thing as you forgetting a rukun. You forgot a rukun. You have to either go back to it, right? Or if you've gone one round, then pray one more rakaat. Because the rakaat is not counted because you forgot the Fatiha of that rakaat.
My example, if you don't know it or not.
Okay, example of you did read Surah Fatiha, then because Imam's reading was so long, you didn't know if you did Surah Fatiha or not. I forgot if you did, just read again. Yaqeen. And get your yaqeen now. Right, but don't let shaitan mess with you. Okay.
Because the Imam report and then we read.
Lesson I think about 10 lessons ago. You must hear the lesson. It was a long lesson, right? And several lessons, right? There were several lessons on that. So you got to go back in the notes. You got to go back. Yes. Your question? No. Your question. Okay, never mind. Okay. So understand. Let's see. So knowing performing. So no Sujud Sahwi because it's not one of the reasons of Sujud Sahwi. That's why no Sujud Sahwi. It's not one of the reasons of Sujud Sahwi. It was what are the reasons of Sujud Sahwi. Not every mistake requires Sujud Sahwi. Only certain mistakes require Sujud Sahwi.
The second point is something prohibited forget.
Doing something prohibited forgetfully is like an action that nullifies the prayer. So it's like eating, talking. It goes under that. This falls under forgetfully leaving a rukun. So forgetfully leaving a rukun, like you forgot the rukun, you go back to it, right? Okay. Okay. Let's see. Laughing not allowed. Not allowed.
Laughing.
Laughing forgetfully. So something funny happens, you're like,
Like what?
you burst out laughing.
You try to hold your laughter
Mm.
and you're not tak sengaja but terketawa. And then you're trying to hold it. You know? Is that better?
If it's not on purpose, it's not on purpose. Yeah, the whole thing is about it's not on purpose. Yes, not on purpose.
It's never on purpose. If it's in prayer lah, it's never on purpose. Right? I mean, why would you laugh on purpose?
Can.
Or yeah, because sometimes I'm not but if something
No, no, you allow the laughter, for example. You allow, so you begin laughing. then you continue your laughter.
laughing at that, then he wanted to continue that. So he dah apa-apa, kita just start over.
No, laughing, as far as I know, laughing nullifies the prayer. Laughing nullifies the prayer.
And then next it.
Huh?
That's it.
I'm not so sure. But laughing nullifies the prayer. But actually, the point is now, I would check about whether you forget a rukun. Because now I'm remembering that it is from what will nullify the prayer. Because if you leave out a rukun on purpose, right, will nullify your prayer. Correct? What Aisha said. If you leave out a rukun on purpose, it will nullify your prayer. Right? So if you left out the rukun on purpose, so forgetfully, forgetfully, I will not nullify, but then calls for Sujud Sahwi. Yeah, it does call for Sujud Sahwi. Correct. Now remembering the example of, let's say you left the second sujud in your prayer. So after the first sujud, or you left the sitting and second sujud. So the first sujud you stand up, right? Into your next raka'at. So you left the sitting and second sujud, that they are both integrals, right? Then you remember, right? And then you go back down to complete it, right? So that one is doing something that if it was done on purpose would nullify your prayer. Right? If it was done forgetfully, would not. So correct, Sujud Sahwi. Correct. This is Sujud Sahwi, correct.
But you
But it's like
Leaving, you have to rectify it, yes. But you did something that forgetfully would not nullify the prayer. On purpose nullifies the prayer.
so still have to first.
Yeah. Yeah. Because like, for example, if I purposely don't read Surah Fatiha, my prayer is nullified. I purposely. If I purposely don't sujud my second sujud, it nullifies. If I purposely don't do ruku, my prayer is nullified. I can't purposely not do these things.
then you say something.
Yes, and also yeah, this being correct. Betul. It is correct.
Smiling.
Smiling can, but your khusyuk gone.
Especially yeah lah, but actually it's
Yes. But your concentration is somewhere else. Right? But smiling got no sound. The whole thing about laughter is the sound that's coming out. Okay, let me continue. So many questions here. I haven't do the virtuous character and 3 more minutes to 10 o'clock. Let's see. Continuing. Okay, what if you have hiccups during Surah Fatiha? Okay, hiccups is something that you cannot control. So that's okay. It's something you cannot control. Your Fatiha is okay. Your Fatiha is okay. Because how else will you do it? You can't stop the hiccups. You have to do Surah Fatiha. You can't like every time you hiccup, you're going to reset the Surah Fatiha. Right? And then you keep resetting the Surah Fatiha. You will never end. You will never come to an end. Okay, if throat is itchy, doesn't feel right, we clear our throat. It nullifies the prayer if you do it on purpose. If you do it subconsciously, it doesn't nullify the prayer. If it's itchy, you just swallow a lot of saliva. And you just keep swallowing saliva. It will remove the itch, inshallah. Just keep swallowing a lot of saliva. Tamam. Okay. When you are praying and your child is in front of you for a long time, if you shift your body for sujud, does your salat nullify? What's the answer? You are praying and your child is right in front of you. So you take one step to the right or left and you sujud. Does it nullify your prayer? No, you didn't do anything that nullifies your prayer as long as your movements were not more than 3 movements consecutively. If someone purposely does not perform kunut, but makes sujud sahwi, is it permissible to do so? Yes. You just say astaghfirullah 3 times. Before your head touch the ground, can you go back up? It's coming up here in the part of the section, and I also went through it last week, right? Which is that if you, for example, I'm assuming you're talking about kunut. Is it? Before you touch the ground, can you go back up? Right, so I'm assuming that you forgot something, right? And I'm assuming it's kunut. If it's Fatiha that you forgot, you must go back up, even if you finished it, you have done your sujud. You must go back, right, to complete the Fatiha. If you missed out kunut, right, what's the ruling?
If you forgot and before your head touches the ground.
Yes. If you do it on purpose, if you left the kunut on purpose,
Then
before you ruku. Before ruku position. Okay. Last year you went through that one. Okay. So if the imam does not say the Tahiyat Akhir and stands up to pray an extra rakaat, we break away from Jama'ah and we pray by ourselves. You can do that, or you can sit and do your Tahiyat Akhir and stay there doing du'as, waiting for the imam to come back. Okay. And then you can salam to the imam. Okay. Another question. If you forgot what you're supposed to recite during Sujud Sahwi, can you recite what we recite for sujud? Can. No problem. Okay. Because it's a zikir. You can do whatever zikir you want. And the zikr for sujud is not wajib, it's not integral. Right? I learned from another teacher that the two-piece prayer garment is suitable to be worn, provided the aura is covered properly. Is it okay to wear the garment, or should we change to one piece? Okay, the bracket is very important. Provided our aurat is covered up properly. Right? She is correct if you establish the ruling of aurat covered properly. If you establish that, then yes, do whatever you want to do. The whole issue is that the aurat needs to be covered properly. And I will just draw one last time about the two-piece telekong. The issue is that, right, the issue is that if I draw a woman here, right, and she's wearing a two-piece, right, so most people, their two-piece, right, comes up to maybe their hands for most people. It comes to their hands for majority of telekongs, for two telekongs, come up to their hands. Okay, so she's wearing a skirt, right? Yeah. Like that, right? Okay, so maybe her hands are here. Okay, so let's say if I say she's wearing a short sleeve inside. Okay, and her hands are here. This commentary is in Bushra Karim. So if any of your teachers are asking where is this from, you can direct them to Bushra Karim, which is an extensive commentary on Muqaddimah Hadramiyah. You'll find this inside there, whereby they mention this. Okay, so what happens here? So most people, okay, let me just undo this. Okay, I'm gonna draw it in yellow to show that it's underneath. So your hands are underneath, right? Underneath the prayer garment. It's hidden lah. Your aura is all hidden, but you are wearing short sleeves. Okay. What happens when you ruku? When you ruku, right? When you ruku, okay. So takbir kita be inside. For example, takbir inside. But when you ruku, right? Because this is very near your bottom, high chances your telekong is going to do this. Right? It's going to dangle in front of you, correct or not? It will dangle in front of you. Okay. So this is what you're doing. Okay. You are doing your ruku like this. Correct? Most people, their telekong is dangling in front of them. Even if it's not dangling, right? It also will show off the aurat. Why? Because your hands they are now on your knees. Your knees are necessarily beneath your bottom. Correct or not? Yeah, right. They're lower than your bottom, right? So if your telekong is going to be by your bottom, right? Someone from someone who stood here, and this will count from the side, is not counting from the front. It's not coming from the bottom, but from the side. Okay, someone seated here, and on the ground, yeah, will be able to see your aurat, your hands exposed, right? If you say I wear a very long telekong, right? The telekong has been long enough that when you ruku, it's not going to go above your knees because your hands are at your knees when you ruku. You get it, all right? So a lot of women, this is what happens. So even if let's say it doesn't dangle, maybe you say, okay, it goes like this around, okay? Still, there is a way to be seen. There's still a way to be seen. You say, no, I gather my telekong, right, around, like you're gonna go through all that trouble, you have to gather everything through, right? But even then, you gather everything through from the back, it's possible that your arm is seen. It's still possible, right? So there is the issue. The bracket that you put in for your question, that is important, right? There is an important state. Yes, the two-piece prayer garment is acceptable provided your aurat is covered properly. Yes, provided it's covered properly. So which means what? Wear long sleeves underneath. Wear long sleeves underneath. There's actually an extended explanation on this as to how the cutting counts as a exposure from the side, right? Because the ruling is the aurat is not exposed from the bottom of the person, not the bottom of the clothing. There's a big difference there. And I don't go into it because it's more complicated fiqh. I don't talk about it. But so when you say aurat is not exposed from the bottom, the commentary is bottom of what? Of the person or bottom of the garment? Because the bottom of my garment is here. The bottom of me is my feet. You get it? That's why the full one-piece telekong covers everything. Because whether it's the bottom of the garment or bottom of the person, it covers it. But whereas for a telekong, right? It is exposed from the side of the person. You get it? It's not the bottom because it's halfway through. So the question is it bottom of the person or bottom of the garment? So you get it, eh? Right. So basically you make it, you just ensure that your aurat is covered properly. Wear long sleeves. So long sleeves. Okay. In the case, yes. Yeah. So just buy the yummy telekong. It's the easiest thing to do. Right. Don't have to worry so much. For me now, I bring it around because like, I always because I understand the masala. Right. So I only wear the yummy telekong nowadays. Okay. In the case where we cover up our outer long sleeve jubah, sleeve is loose. Then you wear a tudung or shawl. We don't wear full inner serkup, so our neck is exposed. Is this wait. Then is this considered outer exposed when you use a two-piece prayer garment? So you went telekong, is it? I know what she's talking about. She's going into the masala. She's going into the details of the masala, which I will answer you directly when you see me. I don't want to discuss it here because it is what you would say it's deep fiqh. It goes deep into fiqh. Right. So I as long as you wear telekong on the outward, I should take it as a telekong on the outward. Okay, if let's say for example, somehow or other your neck can be seen somehow or other. Right? Then of course expose lah. But if your neck can't be seen, it can't be seen. So there's no problem with that. Okay, we'll stop here for today, inshallah. وصلى الله على سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه وسلم والحمد لله رب العالمين. الفاتحة أن الله يرزقنا منافع وعمل الخاتم سليم ودل الهدى ويسر به قبل النبي محمد صلى الله عليه وسلم وإلى أرواح معالمنا ومشايخنا وزوجك علينا وإلى حضرة النبي محمد صلى الله عليه وسلم. الفاتحة. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. والعصر إن الإنسان لفي خسر إن الذين آمنوا وعملوا الصالحات وتواصوا بالحق وتواصوا بالصبر. سبحانك اللهم وبحمدك أشهد أن لا إله إلا أنت أستغفرك وأتوب إليك. وصلى الله على سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه وسلم والحمد لله رب العالمين.